Still Bartlett. Your clicker.
That was a bit of Stormzy there. An honour to be here and talking to you all today, and an honour to follow Ruth and learn a hell of a lot. Boys don't cry. From the moment that we as boys can understand what's being said, we're conditioned. We're conditioned to be strong, be confident, be stoical. Then, as we grow up, we're encouraged to climb higher, be brave. And then we play, when we play, as explorers, as warriors. Mummy's little soldier. I haven't changed a bit. I think I've still got that tank as well. But. And we look for role models, and we pick strong men. We pick men who are powerful. True story. Strong and successful, unbreakable. We don't show our emotions because emotions are a sign of weakness. And in the whirlwind of adolescence, that weakness will be mercilessly exploited. And then, in the middle of that whirlwind, we get a massive hit of these hormones that we don't know what to do with, which actually cloud our own biochemistry and cloud our judgment. Because there are studies upon studies that are very clear about the impact that testosterone has on a man's or a boy's perception of risk. And social expectations actually intensify those differences. Now, back when we were living in a hunter-gatherer community, that was actually important. That was a good thing. It was important that men saw less risk in risky situations because it allowed us to go out and do stuff like this. Hunt things that were actually bigger and stronger with huge teeth or big claws. But things that made sense in this time, in evolutionary terms, don't really make the same sense that they perhaps did. Now, they just make us do things that seem crazy to the girls standing back as we climb even higher and jump even further. Surrounded by our tribe, drugged by our hormones, and protected by our shared strength. Bravery is lauded. Confidence and strength often define social status. We're not taught empathy, we're taught resilience. And we're also taught along the way this kind of weird reverence and wonder at the opposite sex. We're taught about good manners and chivalry, about ladies first, and about paying on the first date. The stuff we see every day on every media channel tells us that ladies, are flawless and perfect. And yet, somehow, through this mess of nature and nurture, we start to build up sensible relationships with sisters, with girlfriends, with just girlfriends, and we realize that actually we weren't that different all along, not where it counts. And so, slowly but surely, we start to unpick the mess that we find ourselves in and get back to something like equality. And then we come into the workplace, where actually some of those things that we were taught, that comfort level with the idea of risk, the outward self-confidence, covering of emotions, we find that actually some of that kind of works for us, actually. Men aren't stupid. We know that we have it good. We look around at businesses and boardrooms and see men dominating. And if I'm honest, we have no idea what you have to go through every day just because you're a woman? No idea. I think we can do something about that, and I think there's no better time to start than right now. It's 100 years ago since a historic act of government gave at least some of the women the vote. 50 years on from that, 50 years ago, you had to still protest to wear what you wanted to wear. And then, last year, we find out that even if you're on record and on tape bragging about sexually assaulting someone, you can still get voted into public office. And even something that feels uplifting and great ends up letting everybody down. The Me Too hashtag took what started in Hollywood into the social media feeds of absolutely every single one of us. Shocking and sickening, but real, and something that happened to someone you know and care about. So now's the time. The mood is right, the momentum is right, and if it's not now, with the wind going in the right direction, strong and true, then when? OmniWomen exists to celebrate and develop the female leaders of tomorrow. And from Omnicom's perspective, that's sound business sense. Because as we've heard, the numbers show that diverse and inclusive management teams and boards outperform those that are not. So it's not just about the morals, it's also about the money. And of course it is, and that's as it should be. We're not here just because it's a nice thing to do, we're here because it's good for business. But we are here together, and surely more determined than ever. So for me, having been part of it for a couple of years, OmniWomen feels bigger, feels more important and more relevant because the time has to be now. Because if we can't challenge things now with all the stuff that's happened in the last 12 to 18 months, then when can we do it? Believe me when I say it's not going to be easy. Because we're pushing against thousands of years of evolutionary psychology and hundreds of years of societal norms. And we're trying to do it in a heartbeat, an evolutionary heartbeat. Now, as a rule in life, I don't really listen to what the people from Love Island say. But when you see someone saying something like this, and I soak it in, I pay for everything, even if I don't fancy a bird. Nice. I can't let a girl pay for me. It makes me feel less of a man. But once we're in a relationship, she can pay. You've got to wonder about the world we've created, where a man's eggshell-thin sense of self is mixed up with a kind of power that comes with money and a weird, twisted sense of chivalry in the middle of it. Now, old Mike is clearly in a certain cutting edge. But even back here, right in the middle of things, I'd be lying if I said it was easy to get it right. Even if you really, really want to get it right. So, who's up for some audience participation? Pretty much nobody. We're doing it anyway. Lock the doors. So, let's give this a crack. I'm going to give you some scenarios, some real-life situations that I've been in and I've been thinking about. And I want to see a show of hands if you think that what I'm going through is okay. So it's kind of last leg sort of style. So, we ready? Great, thanks. Is it okay that I let a woman go first when I get onto a train or out of a lift, or I open a door for a woman to go through? Is that a sexist act? Technically, yeah, it is. But I'm pretty sure that's okay. So show of hands. Who's with me? Who thinks that's okay? So there's a lot of people, not everybody. For me, that feels like good manners to me. And if I'm honest, I'm not planning on stopping it anytime soon. And I saw a great quote recently, which said, my boyfriend holds the door open for me, but it doesn't mean it's his choice which ones I walk through. And that kind of sums it up for me. So I'm okay with that one. So what about walking into a room of men and women and going, okay, guys, before I kick off? What about that? Who thinks that's okay? Show of hands. Yeah, it's starting to get a little bit less okay. Probably not ideal, but it's become one of those norms. Here's one. Is it okay to tell a woman that I like a piece of her clothing? Is that okay? Kind of. Do you know what? I think that kind of depends. I think there's one of those. Because it depends who it is. It depends how well I know her. It depends my relationship with her. It also depends on the piece of clothing. But I reckon I can work my way around that. I reckon I can find my way around that. But you're starting to see it's not always clear cut. Here we go, right? How about I'm talking to someone who reports to me, brilliant woman, someone who one day I think we could all be working for. And I end the conversation with, okay, thanks, love. If she were a man, it'd probably be, thanks, mate, something colloquial like that. Is that okay? So I asked her. And she said that in that context with me and her, she thinks that's okay. She thinks that's fine. It's fine between me and her in that context because she sees it as a term of endearment. We've worked together for a long time. She knows I respect her. I talked to her about her innate leadership potential. So in that context, it's okay. But we also agreed that it wouldn't be okay if I said that to the new girl who's recently started in the account department. The context is different. It'd be a bit weird, it'd be kind of patronizing, and possibly even a little bit creepy. But then, the same woman said to me that a couple of times, I've said, don't you worry your little head about it. She knows I said it in a joking way. She didn't take anything from it. I know it's because she works too hard and she takes on too much, and sometimes there are actually things that I don't want her to worry about because she's got enough on her plate. But let's quickly do it. Hands up, who thinks that's okay? Yeah, no one. Including me. It's not okay. It's demeaning and it's patronizing. And so I apologized really sincerely, and she told me it was fine and she knew that I didn't mean anything by it. But I walked away feeling terrible. She felt bad because she could see that I felt bad. Complicated, awkward. And that's between two people who really know each other well and really care about each other. So here I am, up on stage, and still part of the fucking problem. Right? So if you're wondering why the hell I'm telling you this, then my point is this. If I'm getting this wrong, and I'm leaning so far into it that I'm actually up here talking to you today, and I so firmly believe that women should have the same rights, power, and opportunities as men, the dictionary definition of feminism, if I'm getting it wrong, then I'm damn sure other people are getting it wrong. Loads of them. Men who, like me, really, really want to do the right thing. Men who are feminists, even if they wouldn't call themselves that, but still get it horribly, horribly wrong sometimes. I'm not making excuses for myself or anyone else. I'm also not saying it's your job to go around educating the men who can't or can't be bothered to work it out for themselves. What I am saying is doing the right thing every single time is tricky because the right thing shifts around with context, with nuance, with timing, with relationship, with tone of voice, with all the other things that you can imagine. And ultimately, it actually comes down not to the intention, but to the perception. Because perception is reality. So even if I don't mean to offend someone, if they are offended, that's my fault, as I found out. There's no guidance. There's no sign up on the wall saying what's okay and what's not okay. And even if there were, it wouldn't account for those nuances. But here's something I can say with certainty. I promise you that the vast, vast majority of the men around you, your colleagues and your friends, they really, really want to do the right thing. They would never in a million years want to make any of you feel uncomfortable or undermined or feeling that you need to be something you're not. They respect you and care about you, and they want you to do well. They've never had a locker room chat. In my limited experience of being in gym locker rooms, gym free since '93, you actually just get out of a locker room as quickly as possible without talking to anyone and certainly not looking at anything. They've never been to anything like the President's Club. They find the whole thing horrifying and revolting and actually totally pathetic. They don't wolf whistle. They don't leer. They don't make chauvinistic comments behind your back. And if you're sitting there thinking of the man who definitely sits in the minority, then take solace in the knowledge that they're not going to make it. They are not the future of our industry, our organization, or any other. Because where traditionally we've confused leadership with outward self-confidence, assertiveness, thick skin, forthright views, now the true leaders of the future are the ones who can show compassion and empathy and vulnerability, who can openly collaborate and light a fire within someone, not under them. That's not just my point of view. That's what Omnicom believe too. And that's what you'll hear throughout all of the management and leadership courses at Omnicom University. It's not about how strong or confident you can be, but about how authentic you dare to be, how much you are prepared to give of yourself, how much you can care. And that is a vision of leadership that you can all buy into and aspire to as exactly who you are and who you want to be. It's not about being a certain way. You don't have to change who you are. You just have to be the best you. That's diversity in leadership. Diversity of ideas and viewpoints and approaches, all of them real and genuine and honest. A gathering like this, like the OmniWomen Summit, can be a catalyst for change. Strong, united, totally authentic. But this all ends in a few minutes, unless you go tomorrow into your office, wherever that is, and talk to the men around you, your friends, your allies, your brothers. You know the ones I'm talking about. Talk to them about the challenges you faced. Talk to them about the times when you've felt disconnected from the idea of leadership at all, when you were judged differently because you're a woman, when those little thoughtless comments that you're supposed to just brush off actually stayed with you through the whole day, but you didn't feel you could say anything. Because they honestly have no idea at all. And they are with you in heart and spirit more than you know. And the more you talk, the easier it will be. And when you find and feel you have to take a stand, you'll turn and you'll see those men standing beside you, fighting the same fight, arms locked, holding the line. And that's how we take this on. Together, we say, enough. Enough is enough. No more. This ends here. It has to be the time for that. It's taken 100 years to reach this point. And with everything that's happened in the last 12, 18 months, this has to be the time. It's our responsibility to take it on from here. This will be the legacy of our time. The generations to come will have a different story because of what we decide to do from this point on. Thanks for your time. It's an honor to speak to you.